Hello, everybody. Welcome to Team GB Live. We have Phil Escott just above me, the Big Fat Challenge. Jonathan Griffiths this way, sorry. And then Coach Stephen over here. We're just going to go around. What's everybody up to? Do we want to announce anything? Maybe start with Phil.
Always starts with me. You're very generous, or put me on the spot. Lovely, thank you. No, just been trying to organise our Junction event. The Spain one with Anthony Chafee is now sold out, and Sophia Clements and Natasha Campbell McBride. So he always comes along here. What is that disgusting stuff in your mouth? Where did you get that? What part of an animal is that from? Go away and put it in the bin.
It's from a cow.
Yeah, so we've been sorting out our Ancestral Health Festival one in August in Rainford in the UK, and Lydia has been off at another festival and dragged a load of people from there. Who John Gate, our good friend, a great regenerative farmer, and he opens up his land to loads of festivals, and he's bringing all his people down and selling amazing pulled beef and pulled lamb. So everybody's going to get their faces stuffed full at this festival. And check it out. ancestralhealthfestival.com. Check out the videos on there. You'll know exactly what's going on. And I've got a whole load more to organize. Fire pits, wood to keep the fire pits going. I'm not grown up enough for this sort of stuff, but it'll all come together in the end. It'll be fantastic. Music, everything. Stephen is doing a stand-up comedy routine. He told me this morning. No, he's not. But we have an open mic on the Sunday night with a load of music. Daz Band on the Saturday night. I'll be playing drums at both of them probably. And I'm going to see if I can get Stephen up to do something, because he was winding me up this morning. So,
do you ever have a keyboard up there on stage or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, mate.
Cool.
Fantastic. Yeah. Paul is the landlord of the pub whose grounds it's in is an amazing keyboard player. He's just got one of those amazing repertoires where he can jump in on anything, even if he's not heard it before. And I played hundreds of gigs with him, and his keyboards will be up there. So absolutely jump up, man. That would be fantastic.
All right, nice.
Yeah. We can get a whole carnival band.
Yeah,
we can get we can get Ben on playing his didgeridoos. And Stephen can tell jokes over the top, and Jonathan can do the erotic dancing.
Yeah, you can pose in time.
See? It's making me moist already.
Jonathan lost muscle on the carnivore diet.
Yeah, we can be before and after. Well, we'll each wear masks. We have to guess whose body it is.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That won't be.
Yeah, that's got to be Lee. What's that? Anyway, how about you, Jonathan?
Yes, I've been other than today, because it is the hottest day of the year for anyone that doesn't know in the UK. It's like 30 degrees or something crazy, which is not pleasant for me. I don't like the heat, guys. But I will say that I'm very busy at the moment undertaking a new ebook. I'm also creating more content, doing lots of video edits. I'm going more the Lee Coppus, aka Jordan, route. A bit more heavily edited stuff, a bit more spicy sort of things. It's all about engagement, trying to get people to click on your videos and entice people, but also give people information that they'd otherwise not have. So that's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment. Lots and lots of content, really content focused at the moment. Yeah. Training is going well. I'm waiting for a scan on my hip for anyone that's wondering, just a brief little note. That'll be undertaken in Bath Hospital in the next few months. So I may be undertaking a new surgery. I may not. I don't know. But we're going to see what happens. But something has to change. So we're going to just continue as we are. And hopefully I can persist to do these live streams for as long as physically possible. Because I do enjoy these. I do learn a bit from them. I always take part in Stephen's thing on a Sunday with Richard. I like listen to that. I find it very entertaining and also very interesting as well. They apply some good humour. But hopefully, we could just do more of these lives and just give people value. continue to pump out new resources. We all offer something unique to the table, which I think is absolutely really, really awesome for the American viewers. But other than that, I'll give the floor to Stephen if he has any updates of anything he wants to mention at all.
Yeah, thank you down there, Lee. Yes, what am I doing? Well, Phil mentioned I'm speaking at an event, so I'm writing the presentation actually, and speaking that out loud on my own always makes me laugh. Now, the thing that Phil said, just to let you in, there was a private message about there will be an open mic, and all I asked was, is it open mic as in comedy open mic, or that stupid music stuff? For those that don't know, I don't know if all the guys in this room know, actually, I did end up on national TV many, many years ago doing my stand-up about the deaf side of life, the positive side, and also the crazy side. Like, for instance, I was 23, so it's 40 years ago. When you went for your hearing test, you would sit in a really big waiting room and they'd call your name out. So there'd be 40 people in the room going, what? I mean, to be honest, that's not even a joke or being cruel. That's actually what happened, you know, and it got me really sort of in my funny bone that everything that happened about deafness was pretty funny. The most common thing I had said to me before I had decent hearing aids was, oh, forget it. Because I would ask people to repeat something maybe 2-3 times and they just wouldn't bother after the third time. So it was stuff like that, and the fact that I could look at Madonna, wouldn't have to listen to her, and all that sort of stuff. You know, pretty corny. But I think even in them days, it was still about box ticking. The act was pretty funny. It was okay. I did 6 Edinburgh festivals and all that, but there's no way I'd do stand up at an event like that, because I haven't done that for many years. Also, if you're interested in bad piano playing, I do have on my YouTube me playing the piano very badly. About 6 or 7 tunes. So some people might think that's quite funny. But the most of the day, as Jonathan alluded to, when you do this sort of job, is content creation and researching and making sure you know the facts and listening to the other side, which is cringeworthy. But you've got to know what everyone else is saying on the other side of things. You know, the people that believe that LDL was causal when actually say it's causal for a heart attack. So you have to look at those sort of videos. And I tell you that I think that's, I don't know about the other guys, that's the hardest part of the job, is actually listening to stuff, some of the stuff that honestly you think must be a parody, because it is so badly informed, and it lacks common sense completely and utterly. And this is some big influencers, so I find that really hard. I am toying with the idea of doing different videos where we look at videos like that, not do the Bart thing where, you know, you call them this, that and the other, and effing and jeffing, which is great, by the way. I love Bart. But just going through it and saying, right, he said XYZ, let's look at the common sense of this. So not doing what Lee and Jonathan's doing, because I think the high editing stuff is excellent. I don't know if I've got the equipment or the time to do it really, or the skills, but I think if I could just have a video up and stop it every so often and go, did you hear what he said? I mean, I can give you a real example. Years ago in diabetes, many doctors, honestly, many doctors believed that because the patient was urinating out sugar, they honestly thought that person must be low in sugar. They honestly thought that. And they thought, we need to feed them more sugar because they must be low in sugar because they keep urinating it out. Yeah, look, smiles. But this is documented. This book here, Elliot Jocelyn, he was the granddaddy. He was the granddaddy of diabetes, sort of 1920, 1930, 40, 1950. His own mother, he was quite a good record keeper. His own mother was patient number 8. And patient number 8 lived a really long time. And Elliot Johnson didn't believe in a high-fat diet. But his mum was on a high-fat diet. So you start to look at this and you think, wow. And it wasn't malicious. She was old school. She'd been taught that a high-fat diet would help her diabetes. So she followed it. That's right, Lee, you're excused. And that's what happened. His mother lived longer than all of his patients. She was on a high-fat diet, but he still advocated to not have a high-fat diet. So he was so indoctrinated, literally, in the sense of the word there, that even the experience of his own eyes, his own family, he still wouldn't advocate the proper way of eating. I find it gobsmacking. I really do. So I think that's probably a bit of a downer. Sorry, but that's what happens. You find things out that you just can't believe. You just think, wow, where's the sense? Where is the sense? So that's been my day, Jonathan. Sorry.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, I mean, Lee and I speak quite a bit off air, and we spend hours listening to podcasts and videos just to narrow down and margin out all the crap. Like Stephen just said, just to find that narrow bit of like 6-7 minutes worth of content, which is actually useful to people. It takes forever. It absolutely does. I'm not the best at speaking off the cuff. I'm best at kind of having some bullet points in my head sometimes and kind of going around sort of things. But making a succinct video, I aim to make my videos between like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes long, usually about 10 minutes. That will require about 15 to 20 minutes worth of me talking. So I have to get rid of so much ramble just to make it concise. But yeah, Lee and I have had a chat off air, and we're both very meticulous about our upcoming content. I know Lee certainly is going to massively up his game, which is really, really cool. Looking to invest in new sort of things, new softwares, new apps. So yeah, what we're doing is effectively, I don't know about Stephen, but 75-80% of what I'm doing at least is content creation. The rest of it is consultations, coaching, stuff like that. But per unit of time, it's quite fun. If anyone out there is a content creator, they want to join us on Team GB, to talk about carnivore stuff. Perhaps you've got a really interesting anecdote, you want to join the panel one day. As long as you've got something interesting to say, and you actually have, somewhat of a good setup. So, i.e., a phone, you can speak to a camera. You're not upset about being live. If you're female, even better, because we get told that we're very sexist apparently, and we don't permit women on our channel apparently to talk about stuff, which is not the case at all. It's just, if there's any women out there that want to come on here, Team GB, join us, invite you to the WhatsApp group. We'll collaborate. You'll be more than welcome to come on. Anyway, I'm going to get some questions now because they're piling up big time. The first is from Invite Wedding ID, who is an avid supporter of my good friend and loyal patron. Invite Wedding ID, good friend of Harry's partner. Sorry if anyone doesn't know. What nutrients can increase stomach acid production? That's a good question. Stomach acid, well, that's going to be the chloride. That's what produces stomach acid. We need enough salt in your diet. What I notice for a lot of people is if they don't eat enough salt or get salt somehow, they tend to just not digest food as well. That's just been my experience. But yeah, your body adapts to stuff. I mean, we probably need old Richie boy to come on and chat about electrolytes for a bit, but he's AFK at the moment, so we'll just pass it round. So we'll just go around the table. Maybe we'll start with Stephen, because Stephen's usually a bit later on at the bottom of the screen. So we'll start with Stephen today and see if he's got any insights.
I like to be at the bottom. Right. So if it's someone from Harry Sapano's group, then he was expecting us to say taurine, which definitely is one of the nutrients. Interventional studies, fantastic. If people don't know what that means, it means they add something, see what happens. They take it away, see what happens, and often repeat it. So taurine has been shown to increase stomach acid, or actually to modulate stomach acid is possibly a better thing to say, because sometimes it needs to be more acidic, more base, and sometimes it doesn't. And taurine does that. There is other things. Zinc can be a little bit of a wonder compound, I suppose. It does many things. It does have a little role in production of stomach acid. All the B vitamins tend to have a little bit of a role as well. B6, B12, folic acid, and iron. I think, what we're saying is a carnivore diet. This is the weird thing. If you don't eat those things, if you don't eat B12 and you don't get B6 and you don't get zinc and you don't get taurine, you don't have a very good stomach acid production. I would also say under eating is a bad thing to do. Just make sure you eat enough.
Yeah, great advice for sure. Phil, do you have any takes at all on stomach acid production and nutrients?
No, I think you've kind of covered it. I mean, my question would first of all be, is it a stomach acid issue or is it a digestion issue? So do you need to be increasing bile or something or if you're sure it's a stomach acid production issue, then again, it's such a simple answer, isn't it? It is the carnivore diet. All these nutrients that these guys have mentioned get to you beautifully in a carnivore diet. But you can, there are little hacks that some people use sometimes to up stomach acid, like swallowing a bit of apple cider vinegar or whatever. These are people who are often maybe having some kind of reflux, because often people think the reflux is to do with low stomach acid, or sorry, high stomach acid sort of coming up, but actually it's not enough stomach acid stopping the closing of the valve there at the top of the stomach, allowing the stomach acid to come up into the esophagus and causing issues. So yeah, sometimes that can be a little bit of a fix, but I just think, just eat our ancestral diet and these things tend to sort themselves out in the long run. If you do have reflux issues and you might have slightly low stomach acid, then maybe don't eat too late at night. Let it settle down before you go to bed. Some people eat perfectly well before they go to bed, but I think they've probably got great digestion and absorption, and so that works for them, and that's great. But if you're somebody who's trashed themselves like me and got diagnosed many years ago with hiatus hernia, which used to have me swallowing antacids and bicarb and all of that all the time, nowadays I don't get it. I might get a little touch of it if I eat eggs or something late at night. I hardly ever eat eggs and I hardly ever eat late at night, so it hardly ever bothers me. But there are, if you are damaged in that way, then maybe that can be an issue. But I'd have loads more questions as to why you're asking that question, to be honest. There we go.
Yeah. Your context is super important, guys, for sure. Lee, do you have any take on stomach acid production? No. You're the digestion guru here.
Yeah, no, I would just stress the importance, at least in the beginning, if you're not used to consuming this kind of diet, you're usually gravitating towards sort of high carbohydrates and plants. I would just transitioning slowly and just be liberal, salt to taste, but on the liberal side in the beginning, I think will definitely help. After a while, when you become adapted and you're eating and you've got your routine down, you can kind of back off the salt if you don't want the salt. A lot of people do that, like Chafee does it. He doesn't have any salt. Other people have experienced a better kind of outcome, just not adding any salt whatsoever. But I think now you're in a position where you can eat without the salt, But I think in the beginning, definitely salt to taste.
Yeah, solid advice. Move on to the next question. How to properly recover after a gym session? It's almost like every answer we have, guys, is like carnivore diet, go to bed at night, sleep well, be grounded as long as possible. There we go. We've done the Q&A. There we go. We can close off now. Good night. See you. Bye. Yeah, that'd be it in a nutshell. I would find a way to measure your recovery. That'd be the most important thing for me. So any intervention you do make, you can actually track. A lot of people will say, oh, my recovery is not good, but it could be not so much a systemic recovery problem. So it might not be that you're always tired or always weak. And it should be the body will give you enough warning signs if you listen to it. That's the thing. So one thing I like to do is actually do my grip strength test in the morning. So I'll actually feel like my strength in the morning, like a grip something like, I'm not feeling strong today. And like, how's my get up and go? Do I get up out of bed with, well, I never get out of bed with a bit of spring in my step, but if I did, that'd be a good indication of my recovery status. There's so much to it, the hydration side of it. I think you need to find a way to measure it more than anything. I would need to know how you're recovering based on what measurements you're using to measure recovery. So I'd look at that rabbit hole much before anything else, assuming you're doing the carnivore diet and all the things that I've just mentioned. But there's 1,000,001 different recovery hacks that I'd probably suggest. Eat enough food. That's an obvious one. don't train on consecutive days if you go to the gym. I don't really ever do that much anymore. Sometimes I'll do it if I feel a bit masochistic. I'm like, yeah, I just want to go to the gym today and hammer some arms or legs or whatever I've got in the training session that day. But largely speaking, I train every other day. And I think sometimes I can even benefit from just 3 sessions a week. There's a point of interest for anyone listening. With my bodybuilding show that was on June the 2nd, there's a period roughly 3 to 5 weeks prior to it where I only trained 3 times. So I'm talking about 3 times over about 20 days. And that actually improved my results. My inflammation was lower, my sleep was better, my digestion was better because I wasn't overburdening my body. There's nothing wrong, and I'm sure Phil's of the same mind. We're both of the opinion of like the minimal effective dose. So you've got the listening to your body side of it, the tracking side of it, the measuring side of it. You've got the minimal effective dose side of it, what you're doing in the gym. Look at all those 3 things. Pull each lever individually and see what gives you the best benefit. Now, it depends what your goal is before you're trying to sort of change anything. If your goal is to become very fit, you're not going to become very fit doing 1, I don't know, gym session per week. If your goal is to be a rock climber, you're not going to become good at rock climbing by doing it once every 2 weeks. You're going to have to learn that skill. So it depends if your specificity is based around the skill that you're trying to acquire, i.e. golf. You're going to have to do a lot of golf swings. There's method to madness. There's, imperfect practice is from perfect preparation. So what I mean by that is you have to find a way to prepare properly for each thing. So, for example, one thing I do use is imagery before I train, and that allows me to prepare my brain for what I'm about to do. And if I'm not able to imagine what I'm about to do, the chances are I'm probably not going to be able to do it, and therefore my recovery isn't going to be as much as I'd hope prior to doing it and after doing it. So there's also the element of what your mind's doing as well. If your mind's racing, you go to the gym, you've had a spiff with your missus, you're probably not going to recover as well from that gym session as opposed to if you just went to the gym and you had a perfect day and you spent time with family and you had go outside in the sun and ate some good meaty food. So that's my take on the whole thing, but I'd have to narrow down what the issue was to sort of indicate what lever I'd pull in terms of improving recovery. Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but Stephen, do you have any take on recovery after gym session?
Well, I think you really covered it, to be honest. And I know your joke at the beginning does pretty much sum it up. I mean, good sleep is really key. I mean, that really is key and maybe underrated by many, many people. Just making sure your room's nice and dark and you're not triggered before you go to bed. Don't be on X or YouTube watching stuff that's going to annoy you. I think you covered it brilliantly, Jonathan. I mean, don't overtrain in the first place, I suppose, is another one. That can be one where, I had a coaching call this week already where they're doing 6 body pump sessions in between. It's a week, by the way, in between some Pilates and some weights and just a myriad of different exercises. And that person loves it. That's fine. And I said, you're pushing your limits, I think, because you have got to recover. And I've had that over the last decade, maybe twice, where I've had to say to someone, I can't coach you anymore because you're not listening and you're going to get injured. And that's the thing. They don't see it. They just think more is more, more is more. And both of those people went from being, well, one guy in particular, he was 50, he was a smoker, 4 stone overweight, and he became one of the top 20% in the world marathon runners. All right. So he was doing something right. You can understand why he's thinking, well, I know what I'm doing now. And I had to, I got money for coaching him. I said, I can't coach you anymore because you are going to get injured. You're going to overtrain and you're not listening. So it is a big deal. It is a big deal, overtraining. Just make sure that you do the appropriate amount to push yourself to a physiological limit so you get a training response. And the stupid analogy I always used to use, I'd pick a sport that somebody like, let's say tennis. So who's your favorite tennis player? Let's say they said Tim Henman, right? Firstly, you question their taste. And secondly, you say, right, if Tim Henman was in a final on Sunday, probably perform all right. What if he did a final on Monday? Then he did one on Tuesday. Then he did one on Wednesday. And they'd always say to me, oh, don't be stupid. So, well, why is that stupid? Well, that's too much. Right. There you go. Thanks a lot. I've proved my concept. Now you apply it to yourself. Because if you see a drop off in performance and you start panicking about it, that's your body saying you need to rest a bit more.
Yeah, good insight for sure. I don't know what I'd add to that. If anything, what would you add, Phil?
I think from my time when I used to train a lot, it's about as little as you can do and as hard as you can go for it, you know, for as minimal possible time, and that seems to work the best. I would just go by the fact that if I'm still sore, I don't train, you know, if there's any soreness. But then again, that depends on whether you're eating a load of plants, because the body will clear all of that and repair itself the fewer plants you eat, and the less coffee you drink. That's also a thing, you know. I've learned a lot of that from Anthony, you know, and talking about how, you know, taking a bit of coffee and whatever causes all sorts of DOMs and whatever afterwards. The other thing, I suppose, is ice baths or, you know, cold thermogenesis that can help to recover. However, does that actually help to recover, or does it just shut down inflammatory pathways? Because looking at it from an autoimmune side, Natasha Campbell McBride, I was listening to my podcast with her, and I never listened to podcasts, but I was looking for bits to cut little shorts out, and she's so brilliant. And she made an amazing point that there is never such a thing as bad inflammation. So if inflammation is going on in the body, you need to find out why it's happening, cut out the things that it's inflaming to get rid of, and sort that out. So never ever take any pill to shut it down, a steroid, anything like that if you're autoimmune, because it just drives it deeper into the tissues, backs the body up with toxins that it needs to clear, or repair that it needs to clear in this case. So is having an ice bath, even if that stops the inflammation or the soreness, is that actually beneficial? I don't know. I would say maybe just ride it out. I mean, the benefits of cold thermogenesis go way beyond getting rid of soreness after a gym session. But, you know, sleep well, do everything the other guys said, don't eat any plants, don't drink coffee, and don't train until the soreness has gone away. And if you're repairing beautifully, the soreness will last for shorter and shorter times. So that's it for me, really.
Cool. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is just avoid blue light. If it's something that you can do, if you're training in a way that isn't in a gym, do it outside. I skip outside, I sprint outside. If I was going to go to the gym, I mean, I would get my workout done and get the hell out of there, basically. Don't stretch and hang around and have a shake or something silly like that. Just get out of there and listen to your body. That's it, basically. That's
solid advice, Lee, for sure. I mean, it's amazing we've all kind of missed that. We all missed that point, and it's the most obvious thing for, you know, people that expect to go to the gym. Like Stephen said, a lot of people go to the gym, but they're not. Most people that go to the gym, guys, that are like really into it, they're asking these sort of questions. They're not going to the gym and doing, you know, half an hour, 2 or 3 times a week. They're in there like 20 hours a week. Because I see these people walk in. I go to the gym after they're already there. Then they're still there when I'm gone. Then I'll go to Tesco's over the road, pick up, I don't know, some bottle of water or whatever, come back, and they're still in there. I see them on the same bloody machine. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But that's a long time to be in blue light, and I'm very light sensitive, so I do not enjoy that very much at all. I do feel myself being depleted at every second that I'm in the gym for longer than I should be. Now we're going to get some super chats for sure. So this isn't a question, so I'm just going to say thank you to Juliet for the $9.99. Much appreciated. And she said, my entire family, my 3 kids and myself are autistic, and going carnivore has helped us tremendously. My non-verbal son especially seems calmer and happier and better able to cope with frustration. That's excellent to hear. That'll make a huge difference throughout their lifespan, and if they can maintain this way of eating for longer, I am all for it. So I appreciate the super chat, and we'll absolutely commend you for doing your duty as a mother, for looking after your children and giving them the best start in life. Very, very, very good. Now, the next one, another super chat. So, guys, we are going through this in order that they come up. If you do have a super chat to leave us with a question, just leave it in the chat to any of our channels. We'll get to that succinctly. We've got about 2 more super chats to bring up, so I'll try and get to the point and just get to them. So this is from Paul. Once a week, man. I've started running 3 to 5 kilometers once or twice a week. Do you think this is beneficial or could it be harmful? You kind of know my take on cardio and stuff like that. I think if it hurts your knees, don't do it. If you're fit and healthy and you're recovering well, you're sleeping well, it's not driving appetite to the point you're craving additional food that you probably shouldn't be eating. I don't see an issue with it personally. It's 3 to 5 kilometers. What's that like? I don't know how long that is. 30, 40 minutes running. I don't know. But I could be way off. Yeah, that's right. 30, 40 minutes. I don't see a problem with it personally. Ideally outside. Don't run on a treadmill. Guys, it's daft. I mean, seriously, don't. Like, it's daft. Why would you do that? There's a pavement outside. If you don't want to run the pavement, run the grass. Run even better, run along the seafront, the coast, grounded. I think that's a better option. Do you guys have a take on the amount of like running we should do each week? Do you have any sort of like, oh, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea, or what would your limits be?
I think the problem is it's a very vague question, because can it be harmful? Well, if you've got problems with your knees, then it might be, but it could also be beneficial. I think we need to know a lot more sort of medical history, but as an average person, I can't see it being harmful, but I absolutely agree. If you can run on the grass or you can run by the coast, that's going to be so beneficial, because you're outdoors, you're not in front of blue light, you're connecting with the ground and you're moving. So yeah, in the main, I would say more beneficial than harmful, but you still have to be, we've got to remember, we're not just answering this one person. There's many people watching. So if you've never run before and you think, well, that sounds good, I'm going to start doing that tomorrow, then you've got to build up to it. So just being sort of sensible and responsible. If you've never run before, don't think, well, I'm going to go and run 3K tomorrow or 5K because those guys said it was beneficial. You just build up to it.
I'm on mute. Yeah, again, I think I would just listen to my body. Definitely build up to it if you're not used to it. But I think if it's slowly but surely kind of you're dragging you, it's taxing you over the course of weeks or months, then pull back and don't do so much. I personally just like short bursts, more intense activity, like sprints and things like that. But yeah, everybody's different. Some people do very well to do exactly that. Some might do better to do a little bit more or a little bit less. But yeah, I'll just listen to your body.
I don't know. I just say that if at that level, if you enjoy it and you really like it, then go for it. I can't see the attraction in it personally, and that's not to say there isn't any attraction in it. I'm just not drawn to it. But the only time I've ever done cardio really is when I thought that it was good for fat loss. So if you're doing it for that, don't bother. And I've done it to get up mountains so that I can have a load of fun on a mountain bike on the way down the other side. And that's it. It was just, the horror that paid for the exhilaration of coming down the downhill the other side. So, yeah, if you like it, do it. Don't do it for fat loss, though.
Yeah, solid. So once a week, man. So just so you know, I do have on my channel upcoming, probably within the next few days, I'm going to upload to the member section a video which is talking specifically about cardio, fat loss, plateau busting, all that sort of thing. You'll find that video very helpful, so I strongly recommend watching that. It's with Professor Bart Kay. I ask him all the right questions that give all the correct answers, and I actually learnt something, which is really nice, because just when you think you've learnt enough from an influencer, you've heard everything they got to say, the same old spiel. He came across with something which I kind of understood, but I didn't really practice it. Is then I realised it is much more important than what I was sort of thinking at the time. So definitely look out for that video. Thank you as well for the super chats. Now the next one is from Cherie Morgan. I'm just gonna move myself up so you can see my face for a little bit. I'm struggling to understand this one. She's trying to gain bone density after having dental implants. They failed last year, as in they've probably failed to be connected the right way or whatever. I'm about 90 pounds. Do I try to eat more even if not hungry? That's a good question. Now, I'm sure we've all had conversations with people on this panel, with people that follow carnivore diet and they lose their appetite, their hunger's a bit lower. And largely speaking, I think usually there's a reason for that. But I have met people that have gone downhill as a result of listening entirely to their appetite. There's been times I've actually had to recommend someone eat fruit because their appetite's so bad, they have no longer any energy. Their body fat's dropping, the bone density's going down, they feel weak. In that case, eating something's better than nothing. So even if you had to add, I don't know, a bit of honey or something to a cup of tea in the morning, a bit of yogurt, something like that can stimulate your appetite. But it'd be very hard to say. I'd look at getting further testing of some sort to really understand what the problem was. Look at something, maybe an ultrasound of your digestive system to rule out any possibility of damage or organ failure of any kind. That's the responsible answer. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. I think I'm going to pass it on to Stephen, I think.
Well, I mean, one of the things there is if you've got 10 dental implants, your body is probably not wanting to do some mechanical digestion, i.e. chewing. And I think it would suppress hunger in a way to protect you from the damage that's happened to your mouth. I'm not saying dental implants are a bad thing. I'm just saying that obviously it's a very invasive surgery, which has a lot of destruction to it and a lot of stress. So the jawbone, I mean, the jawbone is notorious for finding it difficult to regrow bone. So when you have like gum disease and they do their x-ray and they show that you've got a jawbone that's had a deterioration in density, it's very difficult to actually regrow that. It's one of the few things. Now, Dr. Abs is an expert in dental health.
Can we get him on? Dr. Abs, do you want to jump on? Can you jump on? Can we get him on?
What do you think, Jonathan?
What do you reckon?
Yes.
Get him on.
Yeah, I don't have his contacts.
Oh, right, okay.
If I link it in a private chat, maybe, I don't know, then someone can share it. I'm not sure what channel he's linked to.
I could probably send him a link. He was going to go down the limited blood supply route from that message. Let's come back to that super chat and I'll message him and see if we can get him on.
Yeah,
Cool.
sure.
Okay. Let's do
Just
that.
tell him we've got about 15 minutes left, so we can't be on here for longer than that. So he's going to have to be succinct. Yeah, for sure.
What about bone broth?
Dr. Abs debut.
Drinking
That's it. Mike's got it right. Dr. Abs debut.
I'm going to copy that link. You sent, and I'll send it. So yeah,
Technology is excellent.
Go on to some other thing, and I'll.
I mean, quickly on that one from me. I mean, I've listened to Dr. Ab's stuff. Been dying to meet him. It's going to be great to meet you, mate. By the way, at the Carnivore conference, I was very pleased to see that you're speaking there as well. But I am very worried about anything that interfaces with the bone in dentistry. And I could go on. I'm going to defer to Dr. Abs on this one because I'll probably go into a load of tinfoil hattery and fear mongering because I don't like it when they start to interfere with the bone.
Check your WhatsApp, Dr. Abs. Check your WhatsApp. I've sent you the link.
I'm going to zoom through some of these questions because I can give some pretty quick help. Just because we're so limited for time here, guys, I'll be able to help people with just a quick answer. Any advice on optimizing fat loss for the carnivore diet? Check out my channel. I've got a whole fat loss playlist, a whole contest prep playlist, and that will give you about 20 hours worth of content. You can watch through any bit of it. It's all appropriately signposted, linked. So check my channel out there. But we're going to bring on Dr. Abs right now for his Carnivore Team GB expert Q&A debut.
How is
How's it going?
everyone?
Not bad, are you, mate?
Hello, mate.
I'm very unprepared. I've still got my Leeds United shirt on. I normally take this off.
Great
I'm not
to
wearing
meet
any
you,
knickers.
Lars.
I'm
Great
not
to
wearing any
meet you.
knickers.
Thank you very much.
I loved your stuff on the 24-hour thing. It was brilliant.
Thank you very much. I'm in great company here. It's great to speak to you all.
You too, man. What's your take on these dental implants?
So I think first of all, you have to say that it's based on the individual. Now, if she's had 10 dental implants, the first thing to understand is why were there 10 needed in the first place? If it's 10, then most like I'm going to guess here because I don't know more about the situation, but I'm going to guess it's a replacement for everything on the top and everything on the bottom. So 5 top, 5 bottom, and then you're replacing everything there. Assuming that's right, then you've probably got to ask as well, why was it that there was so much tooth loss in the first place? And that allows you to realize that, whatever you do in this case, whether the titanium implants are good or bad, if there's such a thing, I don't think there is, it was always going to be difficult because something has happened to make you lose everything in the first place. Now, bearing that in mind, you have to look specifically at what kind of techniques were used for placement. You have to look at the medical history. In terms of regrowing things, it is possible. For example, we look at things like, for example, BioOS. If people want to go and Google that, this is like something called GBR, guided bone regeneration. And this is something that once the titanium implant has kind of been screwed in or torqued in, if you want to be technical, once you put that into the maxilla, in the lower jaw, sorry, in the mandible, lower jaw, or the maxilla, the upper jaw, you can use these products to try and help the fusion to the bone. Now, what I would do is consult a consultant implantologist to see how you can possibly use things like that to regrow everything. But the limiting factor is whatever it was that meant 10 were needed in the first place, because that's clearly going to be quite significant, not just in terms of why it was done, but also in the quality of the healing from that as well. So you need 3-dimensional scans. You need a scan that shows you what you've got in terms of how much volume you have at the minute. And then essentially you've got to try your best to get as much protein and a good carnivore diet in the meantime, so that you have as minimized as possible baseline inflammation. And with that, you're doing the best thing you can at home. Right now, that is the best you can do. Protein is going to be difficult because obviously you can't chew very well with the meat. So you're probably going to be more reliant on protein powders. I have my preference. I'm sure you guys have your preference as well. And I think this is one of those times where protein powders is more appropriate, because you need the protein, but you don't have the ability to chew as well on actual physical meat as well. So do that at home, see a consultant implantologist, look at a 3D scan to see how much bone you've got left. See if you can minimize whatever the health problem is that led to so many teeth being removed in the first place, and then go from there. And there's your nice starting point. That's about as much as I can say without individual details like those scans, but hopefully that's a good starting point for you, Sherry.
Excellent. Solid advice.
Boom.
Boom. Now we know where we're at. Excellent. Should we do some more? Should we do a couple more questions?
Yeah.
We've got a bit more time left. Stephen, are you able to see the starred chat at all?
The starred chat. Yes.
Which one should we do?
Well, Carsten is asking about calcium. Do you want to do that one? Because that's an easy one to answer with my little joke.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Calcium.
that one.
Yeah, calcium on lion, just beef and liver seems very little, possibly a problem. Well, lion, there's a clue. Lionesses produce milk, which needs a lot of calcium. I don't see any lions with calcium supplements. So lions can produce enough calcium to make their bones strong and produce milk for their young, and many mammals can. We've eaten this way for 350,000 years. Absolutely. And my talk at the ancestral health thing is going to be about stable isotope testing, showing that humans have eaten this way for 350,000 years or more. Dr. Abs will like that. I will be talking about teeth being one of the big things we use to analyze what we've been eating. And it's never been a problem. It's never been a problem because we're all here. We've all got skeletons. And the only time it starts to be a problem is when you eat the wrong way. So if you eat a species appropriate diet, then calcium is not going to be a problem. Right. And I'm also going to add in, over a decade of doing private blood tests for people on keto, carnivore, low carb, and vegan, vegetarian, standard Western diet. Calcium is one of the few things on the biochemistry that is not in range, because the way the body manages the electrolytes is absolutely second to none. It's so tightly regulated. It's one of the few things I've ever been worried about. Like I say, in Decade of Bloods, I can't even remember saying to someone, your problem is calcium.
It's very difficult to test as well. I think calcium is a bit like magnesium in the sense that most of the storage of this hard mineral is actually in hard tissues. And when you're using methods such as serum levels, you're not getting a true representation because it's not meant to be in the serum. So all you're measuring is how much is in the wrong place. So it doesn't tell you how much is in the right place. And if you do find things in the wrong place, it still doesn't change what you do, which is to still stick with the carnivore diet. Because if you're having the animal fat, you're going to have adequate amounts of MK4 and MK7 in your diet. And assuming you have adequate gamma carboxylase activity, you can inhibit the nucleation process, which means calcium grows crystals in the soft tissues. And you can maximize that crystallization process in the hard tissues. So even if someone is worried about calcium, the key message I would say is it doesn't change what you do. So there's no need to be worried.
And you can do a better test, by the way. You can do an ionized calcium test, which is a bit more nuanced for the very reason Dr. Abt just said.
Yeah, I've seen it back in my veggie days. And then I had some blood tests. There was a whole load of calcium flying around. And I ended up at some parathyroid specialist in London trying to track down what was going on, when, thinking, oh, great, maybe I've got a little tumor on one parathyroid. They can rip that out and then they can sort all the calcium out. I'm never going to have another joint pain. I was so naive. As he said, there's nothing wrong with any of that. It was just something wrong with what I was eating. And then after going carnivore, I've had the same kind of tests and I've seen no issues whatsoever. I've seen calcifications disappear in arteries, all that kind of thing. And once you get onto your ancestral diet, then the calcium just goes into the right places in the body rather than the wrong places. And that's it. It's real simple. Yeah.
I must be the only person other than about 3 people in the chat right now that seem to require more calcium. I've tried the line diet before, 2 or 3 times for stints. I can do it for 3 days, then my anxiety goes right up. My body does not feel good. My blood glucose goes all over the shop. But what I did notice was I tried it again. So I pretty much just did meat. So meat, no dairy at all, not even butter. But I supplemented with Richard's BHB ketone product, which has calcium in it. I was fine. There we go. So it's shown cause and effect. The calcium seems to be the problem for me. I need to eat calcium in my diet, and whether it be through sardines, bone broth. I made a video recently about it all. I've made a video on dairy recently on the carnivore diet, amongst other things. But it was interesting. Our genetics seem to play quite a large part. I mean, speaking about what Stephen just said about the ancestral health conference and the N15 isotope data testing, that sort of thing. I would say that if our diet is, I mean, everyone's free to disagree. I'd say if our diet's about 70-80% meat, which is what the N15 data's proposing, and the rest of it is made up of animal foods, ideally, with whatever that might be, so whether it be fish, eggs, dairy, what have you, I think you're doing pretty well. And obviously the genetic polymorphisms obviously impact that quite a bit, so that probably tells me I just need a bit more dairy than some people. But then there's going to be a proportion of people that just don't need extra dairy, I know Richard always says, I don't really eat dairy. It makes me feel like crap, this, that, and the other. So, some people can do it, some people don't.
Somebody who's autoimmune, I feel way better without any of it, not even a tiny bit of butter. But Jonathan, it sounds like maybe you need a wet nurse. Or
I need to get off the milk.
Maybe perhaps if you eat a ton of soy, you could start lactating yourself, and then you'd be sort of self-feeding.
My own production.
Yeah, that's my sensible advice.
And get like a hat with a, get all kitted up. Let's Let's not drop the tone too much. We've got Dr. Abs here. We'll get to the next question. I try and find something useful and relevant, so we're going for the questions as quickly as we can, guys. There's not much we can really dig into with the time we got left.
I think
Here we
Sherry
go.
mentioned something. Oh no, there we go.
Yeah. Sherry just left another super chat, and she just said she was very thankful for the help that you gave her, and she's very appreciative. So it's great news. Thank you very much. So this is from Carnivore Hercules. I'm experiencing leg cramps. Could that be from not enough electrolytes? I won't chime in this one. We'll just go around the table, make use of Dr. Abs just above whilst he's here. So if you want to have a go at that one.
I think that's definitely one thing that is key. You know, when people go carnivore, one thing they forget is with less insulin release, you're going to have a change in how the kidneys process your electrolytes, like sodium, for instance. Sodium can be pulled back in using 4 different points in the nephrons. And that even changes how you handle things like potassium as well, which is why if you do use electrolytes, you've got to look at the ratio between different electrolytes, like, for example, sodium and potassium. And when you take electrolytes, it's not just the idea of taking them, it's the idea of taking them in such a way that it mimics the natural ratio between them all within us. So if you look at the ratio between electrolytes that we have in our cells and compare it to seawater 500 million years ago, the ratio is actually the same. And we can test that because ice, you know, from that period is available to us deep down that we can melt and then study. So if you look at the ratio between the electrolytes, it's the same. I think the only difference really is the concentration. So that tells you where the first cell was made and where we came from. So personally, and I'm not being paid to say this, but personally, I think what Richard has made in the electrolytes plus, I think is brilliant. Because when you look at the ratio between different electrolytes from our biochemistry perspective, it's really, really close. It's probably the best one I found. So I think it can be from not enough electrolytes. It could also be from the balance between electrolytes and water, because the kidneys are always going to be balancing both of those things together. So for me, yeah, absolutely, it can be. But again, we would need more information to figure out what's individual about the person too. I'll leave it to Stephen. I think he's probably got something else to add.
Oh, I've always got something to add. Great answers, by the way. You can be deficient in folate, actually. 10 years of doing this, and the MTHR defect can be a problem, and it can produce leg cramps. I think there's so many different hacks out there. Great one that is going around is, if you have a leg cramp, to contract your abdominal muscles, and that seems to work. This is the thing. There are many different hacks that sort of work. Excess caffeine can be a problem. So I've had, so I've been lucky. I've been doing this a long time. So over 1,000 clients. So a few people have had leg cramps. I've taken out caffeine, and in their leg cramps go. So there's many different factors. Many different. I don't want to monopolize the answer, but there's a couple of other things to think about.
Yeah, it could potentially be not enough protein. That's where your electrolytes are going to be found if you're eating enough protein. I was going to say about coffee as well, but that's pretty much covered. I mean, if you try increasing your protein and it's not working, you could try your ab thing and then perhaps get onto Keto Pro's electrolytes afterwards.
Yeah, we need a big hit of well, I say big. We need an appropriate amount or hit of insulin from protein in order to shuttle in electrolytes from the use of the kidneys. So just make sure you're eating enough protein for sure. I've got a question here for that'd be very helpful for Lee to answer, actually, if I can find it. So apologies that I'm a bit useless today. I'm struggling to see the screen. How rare can you eat meat, and how well would you have to salt it? This will be the last question, guys, so I'm going to leave this with Lee.
This is totally,
anyone else can chime in as well, obviously.
This is all about preference. You can eat it raw, you can eat it cooked, and anywhere in between. So it's however you enjoy it. I would just encourage that you enjoy your food and don't cook it to death. You don't want to. I don't believe in cooking the meat all the way through. I don't think it tastes good. I think you're killing a lot of nutrients. Certainly things like taurine. However you like, you've got to enjoy it. And I think if you're quite new to this, after a while, it's quite common for people to back off cooking their meat all the way through if that's how you can tolerate it at first. I've certainly done the same. I have my steaks blue in the middle every time. Every now and again, I do eat raw animal products, but that's totally up to you and how you're comfortable eating meat.
Lee, how do you feel in your gut when you have the different types of cooking temperatures?
It's funny, actually. I had a conversation with Ken Berry about this. He was saying that a lot of people, was it Sean Baker? He was saying that he found a lot of people, even in my situation with an ostomy bag, that they find it harder to digest when they overcook it. And actually, it's that crust, if you like, that causes some issues. But I've tried everything. I've tried raw, I've tried well done, and I get on absolutely fine. My output is exactly the same, depending, if I added dairy to it, the color might change. But if I'm eating just red meat, it's exactly the same consistency all the time. And that is liquid form, pretty much. It would be like crushing Weetabix into a packet and filling it up with water, just enough that the Weetabix wouldn't absorb the water. That's what meat breaks down to. And that's how it would enter your colon. And then obviously normal people would reabsorb the water and they wouldn't see it the way I see it. But for me, I have no issues. But I have heard some people with very sensitive guts, or even a surgery like I've had, that do better to not cook it that much. You don't want to be sort of developing much of a crust. But, you could trial and error and see how you feel.
Solid. We might have time for one more, guys, if you want. It's 8 o'clock now. We can do one more quick one.
Peter's popped up to say hello to Dr. Abs. This is my son, Peter.
Nice to meet you, Peter.
Hi.
Right, so this last one, say from Dale. How much water should I drink daily? Enough so you're not thirsty anymore, but not so much that you're pissing out your front side so much.
Great.
There we go.
That's it.
And salt to taste as well. You can't just do water. Water alone will dehydrate the crap out of you. Since, speaking with Richard, I'm not someone that's overly hyped on like supplements and adding things, but it's hot as hell right now in England. So I'm adding in like maybe quarter of a scoop, half a scoop of his electrolyte powder with each of my drinks. So something like 500 ml of this, water, whatever it is, I don't know, decaf coffee. I'm adding in like 2 grams of it in. That seems to help. Maybe I need more, maybe I need less. I don't know. But that seems to be the right amount for me, I find. What about you guys? What do you think?
I think when you're dehydrated and you go to the hospital, they don't give you an IV of water. They give you an IV of salt water, right? It's called saline. It's 0.9% sodium chloride solution. And it's done that because when we have anything other than that, there's a net movement of water across the cell membrane, either into the cell or out of the cell. And we give 0.9% sodium chloride solution because that's what we can describe as isotonic. So it's exactly the same as what we need. So if people are trying to, how much should I drink? Actually, the first question is what should I drink? And it's adequate numbers of electrolytes as opposed to just pure water constantly. And if you want to try and measure the concentration, 0.9% is what we use in things like IVs and in dilution for medicines that I inject. Even Botox, if I'm diluting Botox, I'll dilute it in 0.9% sodium chloride solution. And so that is what you should be drinking. And in terms of the amount, I think Jonathan's hit the nail on the head. If you're thirsty, have some. If you're not, leave it.
Yeah, can I just bring up a little point about the whole deuterium thing? Because I think if you're drinking a hell of a lot of water, you're overloading yourself with deuterium. Laszlo Boros has done some lovely stuff on, he used to do courses called Washing Away Your Health, of drinking much too much water and so overloading with deuterium. And, if you're eating enough animal fats, then it produces some good deuterium depleted water on its own in the cells. And so animal fats can hydrate you as well. So, as long as you're eating enough fat, just drink according to taste. Bung a little bit of electrolytes in if you want. And, don't drink too much plastic from bottles and that kind of thing. There we go.
Yeah, covered. Totally covered.
I've just been told that Charger and Mopar, Rick, actually received an ad on my video, which is a good sign, which means I'm actually making monetization from this. I don't put it on the highest setting, guys. So for anyone else that about ads in my videos, I put it on the lowest setting so you guys have the easiest accessible user experience. But I also would like to get a few coins, so I typically make about £2 for each of these live videos, which I think is tremendous value. Tremendous value.
I
Cheers,
get
guys.
like vegan food supplement stuff coming up on my channel. It's great. Yeah, like why food and this is food and stuff like that, which it isn't, obviously, just horrific brands, but you know, whatever they want to do.
Oh, Dr. Abs, you have a YouTube channel. I need to bear with me. I'm going to give you. I didn't even realize you had a channel. I'm going to give you your.
You said-
I don't think it's as, sorry.
Did you send me an email a little while ago?
I did, yeah, I did. I was just fascinated by your story.
Because I get lots and lots of just, we want to push your channel, we want to sell, you know, sell our
Yeah, I get
product.
the same.
And so I'll go back and check and reply to that.
Oh, don't worry, don't worry. It's not. I don't think my channel is as interesting as your guys, but I'm still a baby in this world.
Oh, don't, man, I've been watching it. There's some amazing stuff. Honestly,
Oh, thank you.
I have no idea how I didn't see it before. And then you came up on that 24-hour thing. And then I kept seeing you in the chat, and it was like, Dr. Abs, is it abs? You know, is it? He's got great abs or something. and then you popped up, and you know, I think you jumped in for Sean when he didn't turn up or something as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I'd done my bit, and I was listening a little bit here and there, and I thought, hold on a minute, this dude's a star. And I sat down and watched it, and no, really amazing stuff, man. Blown away. Thank you for.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, so for anyone that's not subscribed to Dr. Abs, if you just type in Dr. Abs, as it shows on the screen right now, you can also see his website there. YouTube channel is just Dr. Abs as it comes. He's got 60,300 subscribers, 185 videos. You can find him there. He, by the looks of things, you specialise in a lot of biochemistry, skin health, doctory stuff, blood test stuff. So yeah, really interesting. I mean, I'm looking for this thinking, this is good content. I might watch some of it now.
Thank you.
At dinner time. I don't watch many channels anymore because, like, you know, it goes over my head a lot of this stuff. But yeah, check it out. My mum would be well into it. She's a aesthetic technician, so she
nice.
understands a lot of the skin stuff. So that'd be quite cool.
Yeah.
So I get her on to watch her stuff.
Amazing.
Lee, do you want to wrap it up? You're our host today, so here we go.
Thanks for joining us, and appreciate Dr. Abs joining us as well. He smashed it tonight. Great information. Nice to meet you. And we shall see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. UK time. Don't miss it.
Cool.